This is a video I've wanted to do for a while now, but I've been putting it off due to a lack of images in our database of the players featured. Before you get your hopes up, there are no more images than there were previously. I just decided we should do it anyway. For whatever reason, these players are not universally famous. Some played a very long time ago, and some never played in a majorly broadcast league or competition, but all were truly brilliant players. Of course, it's possible you may have heard of one or two of them, but to the average football fan under the age of 70, they're all pretty obscure. About 300 or so players could have featured, but these are the 7 I've gone with. Here are our 7 greatest footballers you've never heard of. VASILIS HATZIPANAGIS. Well, we warned you that images may be a problem, and unfortunately we have none of VASILIS HATZIPANAGIS. When New York Cosmos took on a World 11 in 1984, the star-studded opposition featured the likes of Franz Beckenbauer, Mario Kempes, Kevin Keegan, and of course VASILIS HATZIPANAGIS. Named as the best Greek footballer of the last 50 years in 2004, HATZIPANAGIS' nicknames included the footballing Nureyev and the Greek Maradona. Born in Tashkent, now part of modern-day Uzbekistan, but then part of the Soviet Union to Greek parents, HATZIPANAGIS' only route out of the communist blockade was a move to Greece. He had become a footballing star in the Soviet Union, even representing the state at international level, but he signed a horribly binding contract with Herakles in order to go to Greece. As such, despite interest from the likes of Arsenal, Lazio, and Porto, HATZIPANAGIS could never leave Herakles, and he never achieved the fame that his talents merited. ZEKI RIZA SPOREL. Any of our Turkish viewers, and we do have some, will be well aware of ZEKI RIZA SPOREL, but outside of his homeland, he is a virtual unknown. In the pantheon of prolific pre-war strikers, including the likes of Dixie Dean, Fernando Perottio, and Arthur Friedenreich, SPOREL has a goal-scoring record that can mix it with the best. A clinical and well-rounded centre-forward, he scored 15 goals in 16 games for Turkey, whilst bagging 470 goals in 352 league games for Fenerbahce. Nicknamed the Master, SPOREL may not be the most famous, but you can make a good case for him being the most talented Turkish footballer of all time. LAKHDAR Baloumi. Nicknamed the Wizard of Maghreb, LAKHDAR Baloumi is without doubt one of the finest African players to have ever graced a football pitch. A free spirit in attacking midfield, he was a sensational technician who could beat players at will and spot a pass. He scored one and created another for Algeria against West Germany at the 1982 World Cup, in one of the biggest shocks in the tournament's history. Both Juventus and Barcelona tried to sign him, but the law forbade him from leaving Algeria until the age of 27. When he did turn 27, despite having signed Michel Platini, Juventus was still interested in bringing the Algerian to Turin. But with personal and club terms almost agreed, Baloumi broke his leg. His dreams of a big move to Europe were dashed, and the man who is credited with inventing the blind pass never gained international prominence outside of the World Cup. Georgi Asparuhov. When the Bulgarian people were asked to vote for their greatest player of the last 50 years for UEFA's Jubilee poll, it was Georgi Asparuhov rather than Hristo Stoichkov who got the nod. A world-class centre-forward who had wonderful close control, a fierce shot, and was next to unbeatable in the air, he scored 150 goals in 246 games in Bulgaria's top flight. In the European Cup, he became the first man in history to score 2 goals at the Estadio de Luz against Benfica, and soon both Benfica and AC Milan were trying to sign him. Eusebio said he craved to play alongside him and that he had conquered Lisbon, whilst the AC Milan manager called him the striker of his dreams. Bulgaria's communist regime never would have allowed him to leave the country, although Gundy, as he was known, claimed he had no interest in doing so anyway. "I was born in this team, and in this team I will die," he was quoted as saying, and sadly, that's exactly what he did. At the age of 28, he died in a car crash. Some 550,000 Bulgarians attended his funeral, and Levski Sofia Stadium is named in his honour. Neil Franklin. Regular viewers of this channel will know of Neil Franklin, but most wouldn't have done so beforehand, even English viewers. Quite possibly England's greatest ever defender, with only Bobby Moore comparable to him in terms of technical ability, Franklin was a Rolls Royce of a centre-half. Positionally perfect, authoritative in the air and graceful on the ball, he was a genuine ball-playing centre-half. The war stole the early years of his career from him, and after 27 consecutive caps for England, he turned down the chance to play at the 1950 World Cup and turned his back on Stoke City to join Independiente Santa Fe of Colombia. This was during Colombia's El Dorado era, where the FIFA Exard League were offering lucrative contracts and attracting the likes of Alfredo Di Stefano and Hector Real. Franklin lasted just 2 months before a return home, but the FA and his club were keen to make an example of him. He became the most expensive defender in the world when he joined Hull City, but injuries plagued his 5-year stay at Boothroyd Park. Jose Manuel Moreno. From the country that gave us Alfredo Di Stefano, Diego Maradona and Lionel Messi, it seems hard to believe anyone else could hold the mantle of Argentina's greatest ever footballer. But there are still some in the country who claim that title belongs to Jose Manuel Moreno. One of the key men in River Plate's all-conquering side of the 1940s, a technically brilliant withdrawn forward, Moreno was both a schemer and a prolific scorer. He scored a total of 224 league goals as a player, but it was his ability on the ball that really turned heads. Moreno is certainly still celebrated in much of South America, but in Europe at least, his name would mean little to most. Matthias Schindler. A handful of you may have heard of Matthias Schindler, but he ought to be universally known within the world of football at least. One of the most significant players in the history of the game, Schindler redefined tactics and people's ideas of the sport. He was short and slight, so slight in fact that he was nicknamed the Paperman, and he changed people's perceptions that forwards had to be big, strong battering rams. Schindler was arguably the game's first true second striker, false nine, withdrawn forward, or whatever else you might call that role. The Austrians called him football's Mozart, and it was easy to see why. He played with a grace and an elegance, unflappable in possession, and unerring both in the pass and in front of goal. An outspoken opponent of Nazism and fascism, after the Germans annexed Austria, he refused to represent the Nazi state. In 1939, he died of carbon monoxide poisoning under extremely mysterious circumstances. Both for his actions on and off the pitch, Schindler is a legend of the game. So that's it for our 7. Like we said, there are loads of others we could have mentioned, so let us know some unsung greats of your choice in the comments, and apologies for our lack of images. Also, let us know if you'd like to see a similar video that only featured current players. Thanks for watching, give us a like if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe to HITC Sevens.